two, testing, two, one, two, 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 one, two. Hello, two, two, testing, two, one, two, 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 sound check, one, two, 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 one, two, sound check, one, two. Hello, two, two, two.
iyelelema sekuzokhala phazu yaho iyelelema
sekuzokhala phazu
Tambo, Tambo, sekuzokhala phazuka. Tambo, Tambo,
sekuzokhala phazuka iyele sifikile thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka iyele thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka iyele
iyelelema sekuzokhala phazuka wena Tambo iyelelema sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka wena Tambo iyelelema sekuzokhala phazuka wewe Tambo iyelelema sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina bafana bomkhonto sekuzokhala phazuka Tambo iyelelema sekuzokhala phazuka wewe Tambo sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina sekuzokhala phazuka sesifikile thina sekuzokhala phazuka ewe Tambo sekuzokhala phazuka Tambo Gio, Gio, Gio mama, Gio. Dala mntanam waqalwa lo mzabalazo dala mntanam waqalwa Tuluzunga khali mntana Tuluzunga khali mntana Tuluzunga khali mntana Tuluzunga lo mzabalazo dala mntana waqalwa lo mzabalazo dala mntana waqalwa
Koko lo mzabalazo dala mntanam waqalwa koko bethu tholozonga khali mntanam tholozonga khali mntanam tholozonga khali mntanam tholozonga khali lo mzabalazo dala mntanam waqalwa Lomzabala somja alamjana waqalwa Koko bethu tholo songa Kalimtanam tholo songa Kalimtanam tholo songa Kalimtanam tholo songa Kalimtanam Chio Chio Chimama Chio 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 Chimama Chio Oliva Oliva Wetambo China Siko Chiwekaya Oliva Oliva Wetambo China Siko Chiwekaya Oliva, Oliva, molo soja. Oliva, Oliva, molo soja. Oliva, Oliva, molo soja. Oliva, Oliva, molo soja. Oliva, Oliva, oh yeah, oh yeah, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Socha. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Socha. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Socha. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Socha. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Uye, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Uye, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Soja. Oliva, Oliva, Molo Soja. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo, Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo Tina socha. Oliva, Oliva, molo socha. Oliva, Oliva,
Wetambo Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Oliva, Oliva, Wetambo Tina Sikoti Wekaya. Chio, 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 Mama, Chio, Chio, Chio. Umbuto wetu sebewunyathel umbuto wetu sebewududula umbuto wetu sebewunyathel obebawuyeke sebawunge se umbutho wethu sebetutu umbutho wethu sebenyathe umbutho wethu umbutho wethu sebenyathe keke balunge sebetutu keke balunge yeah keke balunge tutu keke balunge ay mabaw yeke sebew tutu e mabaw yeke mabaw yeke
Bona sebem tutula.
mabaw yeke chio mama chio
Haniba pelele sazi bagasiboni. Ezikhamke sazi sibachiseko. Kaniba pelele sazi bagasiboni. Ezikhamke sazi sibachiseko. Usingabakho khonkolose. Usingabakho khonkolose. Usingabakho khonkolose. Usingabakho khonkolose. Haniba pelele sazi baganiboni. When it come to something but she's a go, Kaniba Velele Satiba Canibo. When it come to something but she's a go, O Singaba, Co is, yes, Singaba, Co is, yes, Singaba, Co is, yes, Singaba, Co is. Haniba Velele Satiba Canibo. And it come to something but she's a go. Kaniba velele saziba kanibon. Kamke sansin bachise ngoli. Chiyo.
indelendlela ngoba indelendlela ngoba indelendlela ngoba indelendlela ngoba ifuna yona ngoba ifuna yona hoy indelendlela ngoba indelendlela ngoba indelendlela ngoba indele amandla
Mandla! 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 Away, two! Away, two! Long live the undying spirit of our Tambo, long live! Long live the fighting memory of our Tambo, long live! Mandla! Away, two! Long live the undying spirit of Dullar Omar, long live! Long live the undying spirit of Dullar Omar, long live! Unite, Western Cape, unite! Kula, ANC, Kula! Mandla! Long live the Revolutionary Alliance, long live! Long live the Progressive Youth Alliance, long live! Watintu mama! Watintu mama! Long live the African National Congress Women's League, long live! Long live the African National Congress Women's League, long live! Long live the Progressive Youth Alliance, long live! Mandla! Mandla! Kula ANC, Kula! Molweni maqabane. Botani maqabane. ATSEG will never be the same again. After this event, ATER will remember the ANC. It will never be the same again. Comrades, by way of opening, we are here to honor and observe and learn from the courageous contribution by one of our distinguished forebears. So being here today for all of us, we have a sense of pride, because to celebrate Oliver Tambo is no small feat. His contribution and the fact that we know that history, we are one of the lucky ones. So we cannot take that for granted. Comrades, namhlanje sinenyweba yokuhanjelwa lilungu lesigqeba esiphezulu elinoxanduva of conscientizing the base of the African National Congress. And this will introduce ngoku. He will be introduced at an appropriate time. Okwam is to declare the program open. If you are sitting somewhere wondering, let me not commit mistake and ndayenza ngaphambili. Introduce. Igama isengusonwabile Ngqiza. Currently serving as the deputy chair of Dullar Omar region. Comrades, you are all welcome. This is your occasion, this is your day. The program here is going to be short and it's going to flow in the following manner. Now that I have done opening, that is not enough. Someone with the powers to welcome you is going to stand up and welcome you. So that will be welcoming. Then we're going to have the main address, which is what brought all of us here. It's a lecture, comrades, so we're not going to have messages of support. We're going to receive the lecture, and we're going to have an opportunity to reflect briefly on the lecture. And then we're going to have a vote of thanks. That is the structure of the program. It's as brief as that. Comrades leadership, the Regional Executive Committee of the African National Congress in Dullar Omar, I see many of our leading comrades here present. Comrade Anele Kabuza is amongst us. Comrade Ulin Abrahams, our treasurer, is here. Maybe because you are on the top table for a change, you can do the Amanda thing. Comrade Tumvusi Mdala is present, our regional secretary, Ukhatebe. But as we all know, Akahlali Ndawonye is always organizing. I think organizing is in his bloodstream. Akakwazi uhlala. So that's the regional leadership here present. Our chairman is here, Ufaku. Ufaku is here. He's going to have his time to welcome you in the best way possible. We have the leadership of the African National Congress Women's League, led by its chair, the birthday girl, as young as she looks. Akahambi yedwa uhamba ne-delegation unobhala Women's League ukhona naye ucula kamnandi mfondini ijolakazi. The Provincial Executive Committee in the Western Cape of the African National Congress is also represented today. A PWC member and head of organizing and mobilization, Comrade Tusilas, is here amongst us as well. Pakamangoke. After collapse a period of the decade of the Cater, we are taking political education very seriously. And here present is the legendary Justin Dialende. There are many activists and veterans amongst us. I always point out at the back, Comrade Anwar Dramat is one of our veterans. He's been a veteran for a long time, but ngoku he's even so he's qualifying indeed as a veteran. Welcome, welcome, Comrade Anwar. Comrade Chair, this is to encourage you to rise to the podium and welcome Lenginginya to this auspicious occasion and lead us forward. Masimpakamise ngoma maqabane. Lumoya lo, oya banda, lumoya lo, oya banda, lumoya lo, oya
Asa, weshosolo zakeri, shaya mapulungo waka, weshosolo zakeri. Amanda! Amanda! Long live the ANC, long live. Long live the SACP, long live. Long live COSATU, long live. Long live SANCO, long live. Eta the Women's League, Eta. Eta the Youth League, Eta. Eta the Veterans League, Eta. Manta! Thank you very much, Comrade Sobs. Leadership and volunteers of the ANC in the Dullar Omar region. My task, you see, the chair of this meeting asked me, where are your notes? And he always does that so that I get intimidated before I speak, so now I'm confused. But thank you very much, comrades. Comrades, today is quite important for all of us. As Comrade Sobs has just said, we want to be a different ANC. And maybe on behalf of the Regional Executive Committee of the Dullar Omar region, I must once again take this opportunity and thank you all very much. And sincerely, we thank you for always prioritizing the ANC, not just for ourselves, but prioritize the ANC so that the ANC, can attract new members. Our mission in the region is to make the ANC attractive again, Comrade Pesa. Sometimes I use the word, Comrade Justin had an issue with this, and re-peopling the ANC, he was asking, what is this thing, what are we talking about? So, but you see, comrades, the thing is that the whole point of making the ANC attractive again is to first transform how we do things ourselves. I was not asked to say this, but maybe at this point, I must use this, my minute, to reintroduce Comrade Yamkela Mayalo as our candidate in Ward 3. He's a You see, comrades, Yamkela is still young. Those who knows Ward 40. Ward 40 is exactly the picture of a Cape Town that you have. Ward 30, yes, Ward 30, thanks, my brother. Ward 30 is the ward that the Regional Executive Committee in its last sitting last weekend, we took a decision to recommend to the PC, and thank you very much, Comrade Justin, for agreeing with us. We took a decision to support Comrade Yamkela as a candidate for Ward 30. Our attitude, I must say this thing, Comrade Besan, there was an issue there in that ward. Our structures are very weak. Then we opted to encourage the ward to go for a public meeting. They went. the majority of the VDs in Ward 30 are mainly colored areas in Ward 30. Then the outcome of that meeting came to us as the region and said, both the preferred candidates, they had 2021, they were both African. I want to make this point. And the RC's attitude is that we're going to contest that by-election and win it. For the first time, we must, all of us, go there in Ward 30 and go and win that one. On this one, we're not just contesting for the ANC to be on the ballot. On this one, we're going to contest that one because our attitude as the region is that the time for us as the ANC to dismantle the divide between colored and African people is now. There should be no nonsense about this area is a colored area and that other area is in the same ward. As the ANC, we must have an attitude that says we are going into that by-election in Ward 30 with an intention to win it. At the meeting, at the RC meeting, we then said, look, this result, yes, it's fair. It's a fair outcome. But let's go and redo. Let's allow that word again, for the word to speak again. And the word went on. All the VTs on the second round, we made it a point that all residents of all the VTs participate in the meeting of the ANC. That meeting came with an outcome that this Comrade Yamkela Mayalo, be the candidate there. You know, comrades, I'm mentioning this point that we go out of our way to make it a point that we dismantle anything that seeks to divide us. Our socio-economic conditions in Ward 30 are exactly as it is in Cape Town. So we have no excuse, and I'm making this point to you all, comrades, here as volunteers, that we've got only 20 days to do this work. They're organizing in the region, and they are going to outline a program, but I'm saying, I want to encourage each one of us today here to take the time out. If you have a cousin, girlfriend, boyfriend in Ward 30, please encourage them to vote for the ANC. And we can't just come to a podium and say, we will win a by-election. We will have to actively camp in Ward 30. Thank you very much, Comrade Yamkel. Now, this is going to be a very difficult task, comrades. We thank you as a region because we work with no resources. We at times depend on your goodwill to help the ANC work better. I know that our secretary, and together with her and the treasurer, they will have to deal with some of the things I say here before I commit them onto many things. But comrades, we need maximum discipline for us to make the ANC attractive. We need to operate on the basis that the ANC we are members of and that we lead does not belong to us. We must go out there and create a new kind of an ANC branch that's going to be a community center of excellence. Comrades, it can no longer be enough to be a BEC member who cannot log a C3. It can no longer be enough that the ANC BEC does not know what number to call when disaster strikes. In most of our informal settlements, we know that Cape Town is check fire prone. In winter, Cape Town is flood prone. So we are just a disaster of a province. And our friends on the other side here in the CPT, in Civic Center, those guys there, we are not part of the plan. We are on our own. The next best thing for residents of Cape Town is ANC branches. We cannot falter as ANC branches. I will not speak, Kapuza, about where are others, where others are now. It's not my place. But we do hope that as an ANC, we will lead a better, we will partner with a better SACP, with a better SAMCO, with a better COSATU. Our hope is not to interfere in any one of our alliance partners' problems, internal problems. But when these affect the life of the ANC, we as the ANC, we will have to be very vigilant so that our branches are not turned upside down to be pocket knives to fight battles outside the ANC. Masiphume kwinto zakammelwane. Masibuye kwinto zasebumelwaneni. It's not our place. Our place is to always encourage our comrades in SANCO to try and find one another. To find one another so that we drive together programs that respond to the drainage system that affects Cape Town as things stand right now. I must say, Comrade Pesani, that there is something that maybe in the curriculum, in the ANC political curriculum, and especially in the area of policy formulation, for comrades to really attend to the peculiarity of Cape Town. The peculiarity of Cape Town, especially on service delivery, all the progressivity of the ANC policies gets filtered in Cape Town, in the Western Cape. Because they reach the provincial government, and when they reach the city of Cape Town, none of those reaches communities. And we find ourselves stuck. One classical example is, the majority of the people in the Cape Flats are grant dependent, social grant dependent. But most of these communities does not have service centers. Like there are no SASA service centers. But the majority of the people will lead. And the ANC as a government has responded progressively to it. But that gets hindered because it doesn't reach the intended recipient. I don't know how that thing of Comrade Enoch is deployed to our reach. So I must be careful of what I say about my team. But year in and year out, components of especially human settlements, this grant that deals with, upgrading of informal settlements. Year in and year out, this particular grant gets returned by the DA government back to national fiscals. And nobody seems to be saying nothing about it. But every year it's budgeted for them to upgrade informal settlements. But they return it. And now I'm just saying, Comrade Justin, with the committees that deals with politics that you comrades are leading, please help us for this matter to get a profile. Because sometimes when our ministers come here, and I must say with utmost respect, the officials, especially the senior level, when they come here, you try and be comrade to them and try and explain to them the peculiarity of Cape Town. They will tell you that the IGR dictates to us that we must go to the municipality, and we're like, who are you talking about? Because those cousins are not your friends. They have no interest of what you're talking about. They have no desire to do anything about it. For that matter, the provincial government and the city of Cape Town does not even attend national government events. Yet our comrades, they take what they bring to us and subject it to those people, and those people change it. Then we cannot benefit from the progressivity of ANC political intent. Then we become orphans. See, orphans, comrades. We are orphans. Now, but comrades, my task was just to welcome you to this particular event. We were inducted by Comrade Pesani, and part of the things we were told in our induction was never to promise things you are not going to do to the people. Rather be unpopular for saying that which you can do. And the things that we know for sure that we are not going to be able to deliver to the people, let's not say it. I know that the regional secretary's office is going to communicate, comrades, this issue about membership. But the frustration that I get about the membership is encouraging, because that it discourages those who want to create branches only for the sake of creating branches, or creating branches that are intended to aim for conferences to come, or what is that thing, 2026, becoming councillor and all of that. The hope is that we are going to create branches that are going to respond to the challenges that faces the people of Cape Town. We have a potential to do this, and the by-election in Ward 30 is our test. Mandla! Mandla! Mandla!
I have seen a number of councillors, PR and ward councillors. You are welcome, comrades, because you are leading our frontal war against the DA in the chambers. Before we proceed, let me do this. Comrade Simpiwe Nonkeizana and Comrade Zoli Swalonja, your seats are reserved upper Pambili, Makabane. as you rise and move, Izan. Comrade, let's welcome, comrades, with a resounding round of applause. Comrade Uwindi Plaichis. The chairperson of the ANC in Karoo, Epufort West, siyayazi sonke. Now, Nkokeli, you must rise and find a space up phambili. Indwendwe senza ngolo hlobo. You are welcome to Dullar Omar. Comrades, without wasting time, we are going to invite Comrade Justin Dialende to introduce our keynote speaker.
Mantla! 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 Comrades, I get very excited when I'm at any function where there's political education. Now, in introducing, my task is simple. I must introduce Comrade Pesana, but I want to give context to where we are today and what we are doing. You would recall that on Sunday evening, comrades, the President delivered the national lecture on the life and times in celebrating Comrade O.R. Tambo, one of our foremost leaders that the ANC has ever had. So what has happened, comrade, is that the 52 regions of the ANC throughout the country has been tasked to host these lectures. So all over the country, you'll see that regions are busy. In our province, Dullar Omar is the first to host a lecture here today. And in that regard, we want to commend the leadership under the stewardship of Comrade Ndatini and the head of political education in the region, Comrade Sops, and the secretary, Comrade Mvusi, and the entire collective. Comrades, these lectures also take place in a very exciting time as I start introducing our keynote speaker. On Monday, after the lecture on Sunday, the ANC launched a massive political education program wherein all our members throughout the country will have to undergo political education in the form of a foundation course. Now I say have to undergo because there's confusion about this. The last conference of the ANC resolved that all members of the ANC must undergo an induction course. The foundation course is that course, and we're now implementing that. It is a program driven by our NEC. In the next week, we will train 300 commissars to go out to all our branches and train them. After that, we'll train all provincial executive committees, including the NEC, by the way. All of them will have to undergo the course, okay? PECs, RECs, all of you comrades will have to undergo the course within the next year. We aim to train close to 450,000 members of the ANC. And we are going to do so by force, whether you want it or not. If you don't want it, there's the door. Okay? So, comrades, I am rising to say to you that that program is going to be driven by the National Political Education Department that has been re-established. It is driven and by the leadership in the National Political Education Subcommittee, the chair of that committee. And you are blessed to have that person here today. He hails from the Free State. He is an NEC member of the ANC and the chairperson and the driver of that political education program. He is extremely fit to be here today and deliver this lecture. With those words, I want to welcome Comrade Pisani, our National Executive Committee member and chairperson of the National Political Education Subcommittee. Comrade Pisani, please address us. Nkosi. Thank you, Comrade.
Wezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza, ezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza, wezabalaza, ezabalaza, zabalaza, wezabalaza, wezabalaza. Oliver, Oliver Mall. Wetambo tina sikoti wekaya. Oliver, Oliver wetambo. Wetambo tina sikoti wekaya. Oliver, Oliver molo socha. Oliver, Oliver molo socha. Oliver, Oliver molo socha. Oliver, Oliver molo socha. Wezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza, wezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza. Ezabalaza, ezabalaza, zabalaza, Jolopi, ezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza, wezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza, wezabalaza, wezabalaza, zabalaza.
I forgot to introduce the deputy secretary.
Oliver Molo Soja, Oliver, Oliver Molo Keda, Oliver, Oliver Molo Soja, Oliver, Oliver Molo Keda, Oliver, Oliver, oh yeah, we are yet in Azikoti Wekaya. Oliver, Oliver, yo, tina sikoti wekaya. Oliver, Oliver molo soja. Oliver, Oliver molo kida. Oliver, Oliver molo soja. Oliver, Oliver molo. Amanza! Yeah. Viva ANC, viva! Viva ANC, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Viva Sanko, viva! Wathinta abafazi, wathinta imbokodo. Pasop. Viva ANC Women's League, viva! Roar Young Lions, roar! Roar Young Lions, roar! Amandla! Amandla! Utambo uthi mayihlome. Utambo uthi hlasele. Seyaya komkhondo wesizwe lusaka. Utambo uthi hloma. Utambo uthi hlasele. Seyaya komkhondo wesizwe lusaka. Umandela utayihloma. Umandela utayihloma hlasele. Seyaya komkhondo wesizwe lusaka. Umandela utayihloma. Umandela utayihloma ehlasela. Seyaya ngomkhondo wesizwe Lusaka. Long live the ANC, long live. Long live the undying spirit of Oliver Reginald Tambo, long live. Thank you very much, Program Director. Thank you very much, comrades. Revolutionary greetings to the provincial leadership led by the Deputy Provincial Secretary. Revolutionary greetings to the PC members and acknowledgements who are here. Comrade Justine and Comrade Silas. Greetings and acknowledgements to the leadership in the region led by our chairperson Ufaku and secretary. Greetings and acknowledgement to the REC leadership that is here. The leadership of the ANC Women's League, the leadership that is led by the ANC Women's League Chair and Secretary. Greetings and acknowledgement. Leadership of the ANC Youth League. The leadership of the alliance that is here at all levels. The leadership of the Veterans League. Esteemed stalwarts of our movement, and our ground forces, the volunteers, the members of the ANC, Ovugai Bambe, Nina, the members and activists of our movement. Amandla. A volunteer of the ANC is a very important person in the life of the organization. A volunteer of the ANC can tell you stories about the scorching sun when he does or she does a door-to-door. A volunteer of the ANC can tell you the living conditions of our people as they enter during rainy seasons, those houses, those shacks. A volunteer of the ANC understands the importance of being a messenger of hope, because our people continue to live in conditions that are very, very bad. But it is only a volunteer of the ANC who's got a full appreciation of those conditions. A volunteer who is unemployed is able to give hope to a person who seeks employment. A volunteer does not provide stress to the masses of our people, but sends a simple message that tomorrow will be better than today. That is why it is always important at occasions of this nature, we have to embrace, appreciate the contribution of a true volunteer of our movement. Comrades, without much ado, the president of the ANC, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa, made a resounding tribute at a similar occasion on the 27th of October this year, at Birchwood. It is therefore not my intention to spoil that message, but to accentuate the message from the president. As a matter of fact, we're reminded by the president of our movement, we're reminded of our huge responsibility to safeguard our inheritance, which is the legacy of President Oliver Reginald Tambo. Now, this inheritance, we have to earn it in order to claim it. This inheritance is a well of wisdom. It's a fountain of wisdom. And this fountain of wisdom is evidenced through experience of O.R. Tambo in the many seminal moments of our revolutionary movement. The ANC has got seminal moments, and in all these seminal moments, you find the presence of President Tambo. When the ANC Youth League was founded and formed, President O.R. Tambo was there. When the ANC became a mass movement after the adoption of the 1949 Program of Action, President Oliver Tambo was there. When the Freedom Charter was drafted and conceived, President Oliver Tambo was there. When the ANC undertook the armed struggle, President Oliver Tambo's presence was unmissed. When the ANC underwent groundbreaking changes at Morogoro, Oliver Tambo was at the forefront. When the ANC took up international solidarity seriously through our pillars of struggle, President Oliver Tambo's footprints are indelible. Comrades, freedoms of Mozambique, Angola, Zimbabwe, Namibia, and even our freedom were also marked by the colossal presence of Oliver Tambo. These are some of the seminal moments that you find Oliver Tambo's presence. And it is seminal moments that we should take earnest and sincere education and internalize them. As I said that even during solidarity, Oliver Tambo provided guidance. At international front, our solidarity with Palestine and the peoples of Western Sahara is no anecdotal fetish of any sort. This solidarity program is rooted in our resolve to contribute in building a better, peaceful world. So solidarity work is what defines us. Solidarity work is the legacy that we have inherited from President Oliver Tambo. These progressive ideals have stood the test of time and inspire many throughout the world. President Tambo gave us the boldness and courage to dance to no whims of unrelenting greed of the superpowers of this world. So President Tambo has always inspired us to confront greed of the superpowers in the world. In fact, Dullar Omar in 2000, in one of the commissions, Port Elizabeth, he says, the ANC is a movement, is an organization that is designed to swim against the tide of injustice. That is Dullar Omar, the founding father of our legalese, not the founding father, a legal eagle of this province and the country. So the favorable shifts on the international fronts in the global courts of law continue to reaffirm that as heirs to the legacy of Tambo, we are on the right track. Those who doubted our position on solidarity and transformation of global institutions are beginning to think differently. So in other words, our posture, our positions on the international front is beginning to gain traction. And those who try to demonize our positions are actually on the bad foot. Equally, we make no claims for being the sole proprietor of this cause. Therefore, we applaud the support that we get from our African brothers and colleagues. We applaud the support that we get from all progressive the liberation movements and from all progressive countries throughout the world because of these revolutionary endeavors. All these many seminal moments, as I said before, are about the solid history of our movement, the solid role played by men and women of our country with dedication. These seminal moments must be learned and should be internalized. Comrades, during the Oliver Tambo month, especially last week, a short video clip of President Tambo was shared with many of us who attended the lecture and those of us who attended the foundation course launch the following day. In this clip, President Tambo is heard saying that the ANC should follow the rules of the revolution in every respect. And secondly, President Tambo is heard saying that a revolutionary should be distinguished and should also be distinguishable. What is illuminating in this clip is the choice of words by President Tambo, the clarity of thought, and the resoluteness of Tambo's leadership. With regards to the rules of the revolution, we are reminded by President Tambo that revolution is a science which finds practical expression through agency of organizations. In this case, a revolution must be guided through leadership of the revolutionary organization and movement. So we are not just an organization, we are a revolutionary organization. But a revolution as a science must be guided, and it can only be guided through leadership of such a revolutionary organization such as the ANC. Now the question is, does the ANC respect the rules of the revolution? Now it is important, therefore, in an attempt to respond to this question, it is important to appreciate the fact that at the center of these rules of the revolution is the desire and the quest to change lives of the people for the better. That is what is central to every revolution. That is why when we talk about revolution, we talk about fundamental change. So no organization can claim its revolutionary character and status without displacing systems, institutions, and all establishments designed to oppress the people. It is in this context that President Ramaphosa called for the rebuilding of the ANC that feels the pulse of the society. At the lecture, the national lecture, President says, we must rebuild the ANC that feels the pulse of the society. The chairperson, during his introduction, made reference to things that suggest that the pulse of our society, the pulse of our community is under severe pressure, it's under threat. He spoke of how the DA ensures that our people do not benefit from our own very social security policy programs. The chairperson makes reference to the fact that the Democratic Alliance, which is in charge of this province, which is in charge of this metro, disregards anything that seeks to improve lives of our people. It is in that context that President Ramaphosa says we must build the ANC that feels the pulse of the society. Therefore, the ideological outlook of the ANC, which is encapsulated in the Freedom Charter, should not be flaunted. The ANC is a very important part of the liberation movement, but is also an organization with its own rules. And all those rules of the African National Congress, which are also espoused in the constitution of this organization, must be respected. So when Tambo refers to the ANC having to respect the rules of the revolution, he also speaks of the rules that are part and parcel of the ANC constitution, and those rules have got to be respected. This basic understanding of the ANC will always be subjected to scrutiny. And that is why President Tambo, in this clip, demands of the ANC to follow the definite rules of the revolution. So this call of following the definite rules of the revolution is a call for ideological and political discipline. Many of us take for granted the centrality of being politically disciplined and being ideologically disciplined. We should embrace being scrutinized and criticized, because such criticism should also demonstrate the very respect and discipline of our revolution. So when Tambo calls for ideological and political discipline, he also calls it not only from the side of the ANC, even from the side of those who cough out criticism. So I must hasten to say that the scrutiny of the ANC should also be premised on a deeper understanding of the current moment. Therefore, accusations that we sold out border on the failure to acknowledge the deeper challenges we face in the context of the devastating election outcome. This criticism that we have sold out lacks appreciation of our very strategy and tactics document, which states, and I quote directly, open quotes, circumstances in which we conduct social transformation will change all the time. And in the process of effecting such transformation, there will be successes and setbacks, close quote. That is the moment that we are confronting today. But it is not something that we don't understand. It is something that is actually encompassed in our strategy and tactics. And this strategy and tactics goes further to say, open quotes, clearly, at all times, we should develop tactics that are suitable for the specific conditions under which we operate. Our tactics should be informed by our commitment to the strategic goal, close quotes. It is therefore our assertion that Tambo's call to obey the rules of the revolution, that call is being complied with because we face unprecedented situation in this democratic dispensation. The government of national unity, with all its imperfections, is born out of this understanding of the current moment. So it is important for those who criticize us as sellouts to really understand where we are coming from. That is why I say the GNU, with all its imperfections, because as the ANC, this is a tactical approach, and we have never said the GNU is perfect. We have never declared the formation of the GNU as a permanent trajectory that we should be on. That is why it is important to always invoke our strategy and tactics, because it is that understanding that we need to imbibe in so that we appreciate the course of action of the ANC. Comrades, we are equally confronted with the economy that is underperforming. Levels of unemployment are yet to be moderated and tamed. The fact is that we have not succeeded to make serious dents on this matter since the advent of democracy. In fact, if you remember, under President Mbeki, unemployment was hovering between 20 and 23%. That is the lowest we have been. So we have not succeeded to dent the scourge of unemployment. The implications of this failure are devastating because it means the political economy of this country remains unchanged. Therefore, in the context of radical socio-economic transformation, the economic architecture and structure needs serious overhaul. And we assert all these analyses as the ANC. We are the ones who understand better the implications of underperforming economy. We understand better what it implies. So any revolution that takes people seriously will not allow people to live in perpetual inequality, poverty, and unemployment. A serious rethink, therefore, of the current interventions on the economy requires advanced expertise and leadership that is geared to venture into uncharted waters. We can't provide same old solutions when challenges continue to deepen. So this is not a call for populism that can only cough out slogans, but it's a call for leaders whose understanding of reality of our people is not a mere political aesthetic. The era of nice to do and nice to say should not anchor our discourse on radical transformation. I know that many people will agree with us about this understanding, about this analysis of the economic challenges, but we need to caution that we're not calling for solutions, for sloganeering. We're calling for leadership, for real solutions. We're calling for a new rethinking on our economic interventions. So we need thought leadership that can relate to lived experiences of our masses. We don't want people to exercise their mental faculties only. We need leaders that can relate to lived experiences of our masses. The past elections, comrades, have exposed our lack of ability to listen to the masses, but our passion to listen to our own voices. During election campaign, I personally came across a voter who just stopped me from outlining our manifesto, but instead regurgitated that manifesto for me. This man said to me, I know you are going to tell me that this RDP house that I live in has been built by the ANC government. And let me tell you, that is true. I know, he says, I know you are going to tell me that the ANC government has put electricity for me in this house. That too is correct. I know you are going to tell me that the ANC government took my children to school until they finished at the university. All these are true. However, I will not vote for you. That's what this person said to me. And I then asked why. The response was, I've not worked for 20 years. And now these children that you schooled are unemployed graduates for the past 5 years. With grants that I get from the ANC government, I somehow sponsor their lifestyles to buy them, to the extent that I buy them condoms for them not to make kids further. This is the response of an ordinary voter who appreciates and acknowledges what the African National Congress has done. But he says, the ANC has made me, under the ANC rather, I've been unemployed for 20 years. Under the ANC, the kids, the graduates that the ANC has produced remain unemployed for 5 years. And this is what we need to respond to. Because if from time to time we continue to say, this is what we did, this is what we did, without resolving economic issues, people are perceiving that as arrogance of highest proportions. So we need to do something about it. That is why it is important when we remember Oliver Tambo, we must deal with these practical issues that our people face. Clearly, these are concerns of many people, and they sound simple, but they require deeper understanding of the South African political economy. Most importantly, they require solid interventions that are in line with Tambo's demand to respect the rules of the revolution in every respect. So we are yet to respect this rule of our revolution when it comes to the economy of our country. So when Tambo says the ANC must respect the rules of revolution in every respect, he also speaks about how we should overhaul our economy in order that it benefits the ordinary people on the ground. As I've said earlier on, in this clip, Oliver Tambo says, a revolutionary must be distinguished. are we distinguished? In the first instance, it is out of personal conscience to join this revolutionary organization. That only distinguishes one from a supporter. As a member of the organization, you take up an oath whereby you make a solemn declaration to abide by the policies and principles of the organization. You are not taking up a declaration. You are taking up a solemn declaration. The oath of the ANC is a solemn declaration, and that distinguishes it from any other oath, because this one is solemn. And you further declare loyalty by applying your skills and expertise to enable the organization to become an effective instrument of liberation in the hands of people. You also declare to defend the ANC's unity and integrity. You also declare that you will combat disruptions and factions in the organizations. All these that I've spoken about are stated in the signed oath of the organization by a member. That's what you have signed. This is a different treatment that the organization offers to a member to distinguish them from ordinary supporters. By merely giving you that oath to sign, the organization offers you a different treatment. It distinguishes you from a supporter, from an ordinary member of the community. Equally, therefore, the members should distinguish themselves by exacting their conduct and behavior to the oath they have signed. So when you sign that, the organization socializes you in the politics. Therefore, you must have a change in behavior and conduct so that you are a distinguished member that Oliver Tambo speaks of. However, the pervasive fault lines of today start when members are made to join because leaders want numbers to be elected at conferences. In this regard, the test to be distinguished is failed because there is no conscience in joining the organization. When you join the ANC, it must be a personal conscience decision. But when you are made to join without conscience, then you will be a tool. So a person is merely made to join and therefore has no ability to reciprocate through revolutionary conduct. Because your joining is not out of political consciousness. So part of this scheme of making people to join without a conscience is evidenced at conferences where factions are engaged in what is called stealing of delegates. Have you ever gone to a conference where delegates are said to have been stolen? Utata omdala kuthiwa ubiwe ekonfeni. Umama omdala onabazukulu ubiwe ekonfeni. That is the scheme. And if we are those kind of members and delegates, then we can't be distinguished, as Oliver Tambo retorts. These kind of delegates are literally on the shelves with no shame of this toxic tendency of being stolen. Distinguished members can never subject themselves to this behavior. That is why I say it is unthinkable that people can concede to a behavior where they are stolen. We don't want stolen delegates. They are not distinguished. They have no shame. It is a wrong tendency. You cannot be on the shelf to be stolen and restolen. Ungumama usisi omhle omdala, ungutata omde, onendevu, oqinileyo. Andithethi ngawe faku. kodwa ube stolen. So you are not distinguished. But Oliver Tambo goes further to say, we must not only be distinguished, we must also be distinguishable. Oliver Tambo calls for distinguishability because distinguishability is also about being indubitable. You must be undoubted in every respect because our conduct of activism should be premised on higher standards of ethical leadership. What is ethical leadership? Ethical leadership is behavior, is conduct premised, based on principles. And here we're referring to the principles of the African National Congress. One of the founding principles of the ANC is unity. If your behavior is not premised on unity, you must know that you are not distinguishable. Our commitment to serve the people should be demonstrated at all times. One of the principles of the ANC is non-racialism. If your behavior is premised on advocating for racism, racialism, you are not distinguishable. One of the principles of the ANC is non-sexism. Non-sexism that deliberately, by design, despises patriarchy. Non-sexism by design, by logic and superiority of thought. Non-sexism does not in any way condone gender-based violence. So if your behavior, in your conduct, you are involved in gender-based violence, then you are not acting ethically as a leader. Therefore, you are not distinguishable. Our dedication to confront difficult questions of society should be the mantra of every activist and cadre of our movement. There is a difference between a member of the ANC and a cadre. There is a difference between an activist and a cadre. A cadre is most advanced in thinking. That is why Che Guevara says a cadre is the backbone of the revolution. Actually, our leaders, the leadership of the ANC, must emerge from cadres. Leadership of the ANC must not emerge from people who are not distinguishable. Cadres of this organization, cadres of this movement are distinguishable, and that is where leadership should emerge from, because these are people who have been produced and baptized by struggles of the people. And they understand the exhortation of Oliver Tambo when he says revolutionaries must be distinguishable. They understand what he means. So, cadres, activists of our movement are those who are giving up their lives through sacrifice and selflessness to the service of humanity. And therefore, this is second nature to them as activists. It must be second nature to you to give up your life to the service of the people. Distinguishability is not what we say or do. Distinguishability is what people see in us, and therefore it differentiates us from cheap opportunism that is driven by greed. Distinguishability is the hope and aspirations we generate in our people on the basis of our daily interactions with them. That is why at the starting point, I made reference to a volunteer, the one who's a messenger of hope. That's what makes us distinguishable. Now, comrades, President Tambo was also not shy to learn from other revolutions. That is why on his way back from Vietnam in the late 1970s, the ANC developed a green book. He knew the basic rule that revolutionaries are lifelong learners. They do not outgrow training. When you are a revolutionary, you learn at all material times. That is why Oliver Tambo was always learning from other revolutionaries. And based on the lessons that he learned from other revolutionaries, he catapulted the revolution in the 1980s through rigor of the 4 pillars of our struggle. The 4 pillars of our struggle had precision in capturing the moment. This consequently brought apartheid regime to its knees. I know you know about these 4 pillars of our revolution. They didn't fall from heaven. They were born out of experiences and lessons from other revolutions. There is no doubt, therefore, that Oliver Tambo presided over a period that enriched the theory of our revolution, that clarified the vision of our country, and he executed the assignments and programs that made freedom attainable. We must not involve into the nice-to-have programs and activities. We must learn from Oliver Tambo. He executed assignments and programs that ensured that freedom is attainable. Therefore, Oliver Tambo, in that context, Oliver Tambo is a constellation of progressive ideas that sharpens the resolve to act decisively. Because Oliver Tambo is not an individual. Oliver Tambo is a representative of a generation that said freedom in our lifetime. So when we talk about Oliver Tambo, we're not talking only about an individual, one person. We're talking about Nelson Mandela. We're talking about Govan Mbeki. We're talking about Raymond Mhlaba. We're talking about Ahmed Kathrada. All those stalwarts. Because he is a constellation of progressive ideas that sharpen the resolve to act decisively. Tambo is an institution that embodies organizational depth, which is steeped in visionary and ethical leadership, as I said earlier on. Oliver Tambo has had intellectual prowess and vigilance that continues to guide many areas of our organization. It is through his intellectual prowess and vigilance that this ANC continues to be guided by what he believed in, by his conduct, by his ideas, by his commitment, by his sacrifice. We continue to draw lessons from this Oliver Tambo. I am of the view, though, that this generation, we struggle with internalizing the lessons, despite our sparks of doing certain things right, especially in the program of renewal. On the renewal, there are encouraging steps which needs us as the organization to be more robust. We have started the program of renewal, we need to deepen it. I can see that we grapple with internalizing what Oliver Tambo taught us, but we're struggling. We're grappling with that, we're struggling. So the program of renewal is very, very important. We need to be robust in actually executing it. Why do I say we're struggling? It is because in the midst of these encouraging steps, we see glimpses for the scramble of control of the organization, using the same old tendencies that brought us electoral misfortunes. Those glimpses of factionalism, they are still there. That is why I'm saying we're struggling. There is a clamor for regional conferences. Abantu bajahile, kulwelwa i-positions. That is why it was important for the Secretary General to make a statement to say, no, let's stop any tendency that can divide us. We are focusing on the rebuilding of the organization. So we should combat all these tendencies. Oliver Tambo therefore calls us to duty to build an organization whose task is to be unwavering in the service of the people. In 1985 at Kabwe, Oliver Tambo retorted and said, open quotes, "The ANC must be turned into an efficient and a high-powered machine, able to lead a mighty and victorious struggle," close quotes. That is important. As indicated earlier, Oliver Tambo presided over the 4 pillars of our struggle. The question is, are we able to preside over the current pillars of transformation? In fact, what I've realized, many of us are able to quote, to recite the 4 pillars of struggle, but we cannot quote the 5 pillars of social transformation of today. So this lack of knowledge about these 5 pillars of social transformation means we are not knowledgeable about areas of focus and strategies in place to execute the struggle in the current period. So we need to know the pillars, the 5 pillars of social transformation today. So reciting the 4 pillars of struggle of the 80s without appreciating the current pillars is a sign of being trapped in the past. The current 5 pillars of social transformation are the basis to venture into the future. History is a solid foundation upon which we can build and shape the future. Like President Tambo, let us preside over a revolutionary task with unmatched focus and dedication. We should have clarity of these 5 pillars, which are about the state, the economy, the battle of ideas, international solidarity, and organizational work. These pillars will make renewal meaningful. We must know these pillars. We must know what is it they mean. We must know what is it that is required of us to execute our revolutionary struggle today. We should be concerned, comrades, when more than 20 million people did not bother to take part in the 2024 national and provincial elections. This is an indictment because it suggests the most unpalatable, which is that our revolution inspires no hope. Close to about 22 million people did not go to the polls. And that right to vote has been earned through blood and sweat. Solomon Mahlangu paid a price for that right to be part and parcel of this democracy. Vuyisile Mini paid the price for that right of voting to find expression in our democracy. That right is not a right that just dropped from the sky. It has been fought for. Therefore, if 20 million people do not go to the polls, we need to understand that something is wrong with us because we are the leader of society. So President Tambo mastered how to engage people in the struggle for liberation, despite the ANC being banned. Therefore, when President Ramaphosa made a call on Monday and Sunday that all leaders at all levels, they must be engaged with the people and structures on the ground. And he said that these leaders must not be strangers and tourists in their communities. It is because of this very issue that our people are so disengaged to a point that they don't even see value in going to the polls, in exercising their hard-earned right. So leaders of our organization, the NEC at all levels, have been called to duty to engage with the masses on the ground. That's why President Ramaphosa says leaders must not be strangers. Leaders must not be tourists in their communities. So we should not subject the masses to leaderlessness. That is why Governor Mbeki made an exhortation which is very instructive when he says, work with them, work among them, work with them to prepare the way for takeover power. So we know that Isitalando Govanembeki was very, very articulate when it comes to organizing. That's why he says we must work among the people, we must work with the people in order to prepare the way for takeover power. So it is in that context that President Ramaphosa made this call that leaders should be engaged with communities and structures on the ground. We need, comrades, in this region to take a closer look at the crime situation in all the areas, be it Langa, Nyanga, Michel's Plain, and so on. Because this is where our motive forces reside, and they are found. Clearly, indications are that the heartbeat, the pulse, is under severe strain. That is why we need to take a closer look. Therefore, all these situations impose the responsibility on the ANC to act. It's about action. One writer once said, action is the commodity of kings. So we cannot theorize and hypothesize without action. So on these issues that relates to crime and other issues that have been reflected upon by the chair, we need to take action. But taking action means we need to engage with our communities. We must feel the pulse of our society. Indeed, there is a challenge to crime, so the question remains, how does the ANC function in areas where lawlessness is rampant? All these questions and the solution thereof, they belong to the future. They are issues of the future. And these issues of the future are clearly pronounced in our Freedom Charter. So we should also heed the caution by Mcebisi Jonas, which he made at the funeral of Pravin Gordhan. He warned us that part of our problem is to use old politics to deal with new issues and new politics. That is why on issues of the future that we need to deal with, that we need to combat, we need new ideas. We need leaders and comrades and activists, cadres who are innovative. The leadership, therefore, in the province and the region should develop better tools to mobilize society. A protest march against service delivery is not enough for an organization such as the ANC. I'm not saying it is wrong, I'm saying it is not enough. From the ANC, for us to be distinguished and distinguishable, even though we're in opposition, it is not enough to protest against poor service delivery. We need to do more. That is why I'm arguing for innovative leaders, because in that sense, we can become distinguishable. Being a typical opposition role in the legislatures is also not enough for the ANC. This is so because the ANC's strength is about getting people engaged. So this call for us to be engaged with society, this call for us to feel the pulse of society is not just an ordinary call. It speaks exactly to us having to understand what is it that our people think and want. So the ANC's leadership is even expected in situations where we are in opposition. Whenever people talk about poor service delivery, they talk about the ANC. It's not because they are begrudging the ANC. It is because they expect solutions from the ANC. There is abounding evidence that no party can provide solutions to the challenges of South Africa other than the ANC. In Gauteng, in Tshwane, the DA has ruled for 8 years, but they have failed the people of Tshwane. You are testimony of what the DA is doing in this metro. But be that as it may, we can protest against poor service delivery. We can become a typical opposition in legislatures, but you must know that it is not enough. We need to dig deep. We need to do more. We need to think. That is why we have to tap into the fountain of wisdom of Oliver Tambo. When we say Oliver Tambo was intellectually prolific, had exercised intellectual vigilance, we have to tap into that wisdom to understand what do we mean. He led by example. So, the people expect the connection with the ANC to be something that is very extraordinary. It is in this context that President Tambo says we should be distinguishable. Therefore, all those that we place at the helm of the organization should be inducted on President Tambo. I think one of the induction studies should be about Oliver Tambo, so that we appreciate his depth, we appreciate his work in this organization, especially on the importance of being distinguishable. Let us defend our inheritance. Let us combat anything that seeks to emasculate the ANC of its place in society. Let us follow in the bold footsteps of Oliver Tambo. Long live Oliver Tambo, long live. Amandla. Away to. Engosi.
Oliver Tambo, Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sanlasa. Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sanlasa. Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa, Bambi Sanlasa. Oliver Tambo, Bambi Sanlasa. Amandla! Amandla! Away, two! Away, two! Comrades, ndicinga uba uba sinamona befanele siyinike enye round of applause. I can't imagine another fitting tribute to OR Tambo better than this one. So, awuzudinwa ke Comrade Besane, sawumane sinkqonkqoza oko, because we have set the bar very high. The risk we cannot take is to drop the bar. Comrades, a lot of things happened as Comrade Besane was delivering the message. Prominent leaders of the African National Congress in the province basi joinile. And I think now the full delegation, as was deployed, is here. There are also members of the Regional Executive Committee who have come in greater numbers. So we must acknowledge all of them. In particular, the presence of the convener of the ANC Youth League in the Western Cape province. Comrades, this is a lecture. Now, there is an obligation in a lecture to engage, so that all of those who will leave this room better than when they came. Which therefore means, sadly, none of us came to a school namhlanje. No. None of us came to a school today, except the Deputy Provincial Secretary, who's in a pen and she was writing throughout. Now, we're going to allow an opportunity for comrades not to pose questions necessarily, but to point out those things that are important for reflection going forward. Is the task clear, comrades? Point out those things that are necessary for us to improve and be better comrades tomorrow, arising from the address. So what I'm going to do to avoid a crisis is to allow 5 hands on this side, on my left, and further allow another 5 hands on my right. But here is a criteria. Firstly, you must point out this thing that we must discuss and reflect on. Secondly, if you are a leadership at the regional or the provincial level, please keep your hand down. This is not your session. Agreed? My sisters and comrades, on my left, comrades, you must accept that the fact that you have raised your hand does not automatically mean that you are going to be pointed, so that we don't have a crisis. Hands. At the back with the pink nice shirt, I think it's Comrade Mcebisi Skwacha. Leadership. There's a second hand up, number 2. Kabane we sport yesimnyama, you are number 2. You are number 2. 2 hands on this side. Okay, let's take hands on this side. Right at the back, you are number 3. Ward 40, you are number 4. Ward 87, you are number 5. Ward 96, you are number 6. Ward 6, you are number 7. ANC Youth League, you are number 8. Sanel, you are number 9, in that order. Where's the mic? Kalagu number 1, Comrade Mcebisi, yes. Please proceed, leadership.
Enkosi kakhulu mhlali ngaphambili. How many minutes, Comrade Chair?
Undazi kahle. 3 minutes only.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to firstly welcome this inspiring input by our leader, Comrade Besani. I think that to follow you, Comrade Chair, maybe Comrade Besani must multiply. We need more of his nature. Having said that, ndifuna kakhona mhlali ngaphambili ubulela i-NEC by launching the political education program as it happened in the last few days. Akukho nto njengoba usitsho nje mhlali ngaphambili. Ndingathetha noluphi ulwimi moseba. Njengoba usitsho nje mhlali ngaphambili into yoba sizofunda sizokongeza. I have listened carefully to our leader. And I like the quotation he makes about our stalwart Oliver Tambo. And I like the quotation where he says, an ANC member must be distinguishable from a criminal. Mhlambe ishiye ngabomu lo ndawo. Ukwenzela uba ndivakale uthi Oliver Tambo umlweli wenkululeko kwi-ANC funeka ahluke kwisigebenga i-criminal isikrelemnqa. Now, I'm making that point, Chair, because we so often sing, even here, about Oliver Tambo. If we may make sure that we walk what we sing. Because Oliver Tambo says, if you are an ANC member, you should not be involved in corruption. Lastly, and I pose it to you, my leader. Sometimes, and this is my deep-seated view, we have now agreed to renew and rebuild the ANC. I believe that you cannot renew and rebuild the ANC with the same people that you had, all of them. Because according to Rongo, that's why to renew, rebuild. It's up to the NEC to guide us how we do that. Because the regional secretary, in one input, Comrade Vusi says, even the rejoining of the ANC will be administered by who? Lastly, ndizohlala phansi to respect your 3 minutes.
30 chance.
I don't have a clock. Comrade leader and comrades here, what I think we should understand, sesifumana about 40%, just go 50. It's because our people, in spite of what our volunteers are doing, besichalilanga, our people think that sense izinto ezirongo ezininzi. Now, my point is, sometimes we may be legally right. Singakwazi ufunyanwa sinetyala, zinkundla zamatyala. But are we always morally right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You landed on a high note. Cool. Number 2, over here. Over here.
My greetings is on behalf of the ANC Women's League and the ANC Ward 32 Atlantis branch. And we have challenges in our branch, like Oliver Tambo and Nelson Kholisesa Mandela was saying. Our ANC is breaking ourselves in our own branches. And we as a community leaders have challenges outside there. Like in my branch, they will tell me, in my community, they will tell me I'm a Winnie. Because I won't stand back for the police, no one. Because it's our own people in our own structures who's killing us as ANC members. There's a difference between an ANC member and a supporter and a follower out there. It's the followers who's killing us. And it's that Jacob Zuma, who was our president from 2009 till now, and he don't want to reserve his membership to MK. You're challenging this, and you send the wrong people to conferences, comrades. I'm telling you, as women of the African National Congress, you're sending wrong people to the conferences, you send wrong people to councillors, and then it's the people who are suffering under there. And the ANC failed us. Behalf of 1994 till now, they don't do what they told us to do. And it's we people and the branches who suffering because you take a look here, people is sitting without tastes, but it's a lecturer of Tambo. It's not on comrades. It's not on me as Charmaine Roberts is telling our ANC people to wake up because Cyril was thinking, that is the 1994 elections. That one, when they don't put money enough for our people. You separating people black and white. Amandla, comrades, Amandla! Viva Western Cape, viva!
Andla. Comrade, right at the back, right at the back.
Thanks, Chair. My name is Comrade Tandos Dinana. Maybe the surname is more familiar to comrades who reject comrades who fight for a struggle within the province at a different space. I want to start there, Chair. When we talk of the service developer, that must happen by the ANC so that we don't march. There are ways we as a youth league find a strategy that we should go to a different sector to fight the Western Cape government. But once we find ourselves in those sectors, when we want to implement national policy, national program, the same comrades, the same ministers, the same directors, who knows that this organization is from the ANC comrade, they make a red tape and reject that. Now, see, sit here, we talk of Comrade Oliver Tambo. How do you reflect that when the same ANC who you inspire to lead like him develop a jealous? NEC members, provincial members, they have formed something called a jealousy of leadership. They have a reverse mentality. We are here, comrades. There is an issue around unemployment in the Western Cape. There is an issue here in the Western Cape around clinic services that are not services of the clinic that are not arrived to our people. How, when you fight that in SANEC, and then you say in the ANC, comrades, this is the campaign that we must run. But in order for me to address this, can we bring the minister to do imbizo? The same person you address that to, say, Comrade Bani, you are working with the minister. He says, no, your organization is not fit enough to implement the national program. When the president is here next year,
As you conclude,
no, Galok Chair, don't do that.
what is going to happen
I'm
in this session?
completing.
No, leadership, don't start that. You are not going to win.
Okay.
Conclude.
What is happening here, comrades, in order for us to achieve a service delivery, is to allow comrades who have a capacity at a different sector to implement national programs.
Thank you very much. What food?
Thank you, Chair. Dibulise leadership. Dibulise kuma comrade at large. I'm going to be very short, Chair. I'll start by saying thank you very much to the region for organizing this memorial lecture, Comrade Oliver Tambo. And I was sitting here listening very careful, and I wondered to the same sentiment shared by UDM, our former DM, to say it means every member today should be a new member, wait for 6 months, and be re-elected again. Ithethu ukuthi lento Comrade Skwatsha, we will have a new president. And ndinewari dinotata pha ndifike after implementation of the new system enthuka uthi nina niyasmosha niza nento ezikhumshileyo sibe thini ANC siyithanda ngoku yayijoyinwe emaphepheni ndandikwazi uzibhalela
But the same ANC now, iti abazali bethu mababhale letter to join the ANC. That means there is serious problem we are facing. Yazi, xa ujonga ANC have all good documents. Very, very good documents. What is the problem? It is the implementation of these documents. Namhlanje branches must defend the ANC. We elected leaders, zithathi posts kuhulumende instead of delivering services. Zingaveli, they come kulaa ndawo ndihlala kuyo eKanani, athi umntu siza kwakha izindlu apha, atsho kwivota. But ingaziphi ize loo nto leyo. So i-ANC must have this document, but we must also implement.
Thank you very much.
As they are.
Thank you very much, leadership. You promised to be short.
Manibulele mhlali ngaphambili.
Comrades, can I, from you onwards, can I request that don't introduce yourself, don't thank the presenter, go to the point so that we make progress.
Oh, okay. Ipoint yam ithi eyokuqala. Uba Oliver Tambo uthi i-alliance ye-ANC ne-SACP zange isekelwe emaphepheni, yasekelwa phezu kwegazi labalweli benkululeko. But namhlanje sibona i-SACP ne-ANC zisilwa on the public space. Is this behavior of our leaders ebangela into yobana xa sithetha nge-renewal singathethi only nge-renewal, sithethe about rebranding of i-African National Congress? Abantu baphelelwa lithemba ku-ANC because of iinkokheli ze-ANC zideep kurhwaphilizo. 90% yabantu ababekwi-state capture ibizi-members ze-ANC. And you expect branches to defend Londo. Even Gogo, leadership, NEC took a decision. Yeah, members of the ANC, Mazibale, Mazitini, but the NEC product of these members. Because the whole NEC was elected by these members, Ingas Tembi was the members of the ANC.
In conclusion?
So, in conclusion, all of us, as the members of the ANC, as the volunteers, as the supporters, we need to change our behavior.
Thank you very much. Ward 96. Abikebus Brown. Covered. Move to Ward 6.
Thanks, Chair. Let me also welcome the lecture delivered now. Thank you. My point here, Chairperson of the section, I'll just reduce my point to almost 3. I have a problem in terms of beneficial of the National Democratic Revolution. In those beneficial of the National Democratic, it's a middle structure where my concern lies. Lower and upper middle class, they don't appreciate. And if you check, most of them, they didn't even vote the ANC. Is one who criticizing the media everywhere, criticizing ANC. Those are beneficial of the ANC, the middle structure. And the second one, I just want to understand, maybe we have a strategy to deal with the media of South Africa. Because media of South Africa, you have a negative attitude about the African National Congress. Yeah, in Cape Town, we are under DA since 2006. But they don't paint their administration the way they busy doing national.
Equally, 2009, they took over the Western Cape, stop any service delivery that is go to people in township. But yet, the media does not do anything. For instance, if you go to door, my concern is that I'm doing door to door every year when there's door to door. People there are blaming the ANC in those houses. The first person you will be accused if you arrive at that house, oh, we are ANC, now we are coming now because it's the election. But I have a likely different view on this claiming. Let's claim because it's our people. It means that those people don't always accuse us, not knowing who's in charge in the Western Cape.
Thank you. Thank you very much. ANC Youth League. If you are covered, would you aren't covered?
No, I'm not going to be covered. Of course, but of course, because I'm here, I would like to say something. And thanking, of course, the Dullar Omar for the lecturer and for Comrade Besani to honor the invite so that today we get to learn, reflect, and understand our organization better and its leaders. We all know that our beloved O.R. Tambo was a committed Pan-Africanist, and he has helped to further entrench the outlook throughout the ranks of the ANC and contributed in no small measure to the development of the attitude amongst millions throughout our continent that they struggle to defeat the apartheid system. O.R. Tambo is certainly respected world over for his human rights activism, internationalism, and futurism, as he was explained by Comrade Besani and others before. There is so much that our leaders and young and old across South Africa, can learn from the way that O.R. Tambo led the liberation struggle against the apartheid government. History will answer the question unequivocally whether we had the courage to live up to the extraordinary legacy which Oliver Tambo left behind to change the lives of our people, to truly transform and liberate South Africans socially and economically. It is while standing on the shoulders of the giant like O.R. Tambo that the African National Congress leaders honored his legacy by building a consistent perseverance and resilience in society to root out, in fact, the factionalism.
Thank you very much. Ward 89, you are the last speaker.
There are two things, Chair, only. The first one, in terms of what you sought us to do, to take things from the lecture and go forward, is that there is an O.R. Tambo School of Leadership modules. We need to have each BEC member maybe and have a time frame to say next year by March should at least have done those. In line with the political school that was kick-started, I don't remember when, by the region. And that program was aborted. I don't know why. That's the point I want us to take forward. And lastly, into nje, yes, an induction may be done on O.R. Tambo, but if you can do a paternity test on the constitution of this country, there are two people who can get a DNA of, O.R. Tambo and Joe Slovo. So an induction should also incorporate Joe Slovo, because the DNA yakhe afunyaniswa xa kunokwenziwa i-paternity test kule constitution sinayo. Enkosi.
Amandla! Amandla! I committed a cardinal, a terrible mistake, in fact, by not acknowledging the presence of the MK Liberation War veterans. They are here represented by their provincial secretary, Comrade Nkunzi, Jabo Mfusi, Bulisa Nkunzi. Comrade Besani, those are the brief questions. I would not even insist that you stand on the podium. You can respond where you are in 10 quick minutes.
Amandla. No, Ndiabulela, and thanks for the input. I think in the main, there are inputs. There are inputs. And maybe starting from the last issue about the paternity test, it's a very good illustration. I love it too. If you look at the foundation course, that of the OR Tambo of political education, the foundation course, there are 5 modules. In those 5 modules, you'll find that we talk about the vision of the ANC, the country that we seek to build, and so on. So those areas are integrated. And then, but what we are suggesting from Political Education Subcommittee and the head of Political Education, who's Comrade David Makur, is that where comrades feel that we need to integrate, they should make those kind of submissions. But we believe that in one way or the other, the paternity test is being made and is being found to integrate, thinkers of our movement. But maybe we should, if it has to be enriched, that can be done. So it's not something cast on stones. But I like that paternity test illustration. I'm really in love with it. It made me understand something. That is why we all learn. It's true that the behavior of the middle class, the middle strata, and it's something, it oscillates. Unfortunately, that's where ideas are actually created of also in society. The middle class is influential. The middle class, like the ANC, when it took over power, it increased the number of people, it put many people into the middle class. But it has that nature, it vacillates, that thing of vacillation. But it is the strata that we need. Maybe I shouldn't say middle class. It is the strata that we need in our society, and it's an area that we need to keep on improving on. So I agree with that view. The issue of the alliance, I think you captured it quite correctly. Each and every alliance partner has got its own, constitution. And so, and in the current period, there is a concern that, or there's a call rather, that the alliance has got to be reconfigured. And documents have been produced to actually explain what reconfiguration constitute. I think the South African Communist Party, even COSATU, from almost 2010, if not earlier, they have been making this plea and so on. There are outstanding meetings between the political council, the National Political Council, to really expedite the matter. We're at the point that the specifics of this reconfiguration are being entertained. I agree with comrades who said, political education must not be a nice-to-do program. It must be a program that results in change in behavior. Now, most of the time, many of us, we are used to political lectures. What we did today is something that you are used to. We are used to political schools. We are used to political classes. But there's a challenge of a change in behavior. Now, one of the things that David Makura says, and I'm paraphrasing him here, he has what is called a concentric cycle. And in that concentric cycle, he says a member of the ANC, it's not enough just to be a member of the ANC. Once you have joined the ANC, you must become an activist. So an activist makes things happen. There's a comrade, I think it's Charmaine, I'm told she's an activist. When we talk about ethical leadership, we said ethical leadership is behavior premised on principles. And one of those principles I spoke about it's non-sexism. Now the ANC branch, the ANC activist must be worried if he or she does not know how many court cases that deals with rape in his area. An ANC activist must be worried when he does or she does not know what are the conditions that the people he leads or he lives with live in. So when President calls for an ANC that feels the pulse of society, he calls for leaders to be on the ground. I don't know if I shared with you part of the work that I do in my branch. You see, in my branch, I'm an NEC member. In my branch where I come from, my branch has got 68 streets. If you are a leader of the ANC, you are an activist of the ANC, do you know how many streets are there in your ward? In my street where I live, in Ward 14, Sakiranchu, the street where I live, there is 33 houses. It's a small township. And there's 154 people who occupy those houses. 54 of them are children or young people who are at high school level. 26 of those people are pensioners. 26 of those people are widows and widowers. 17 of those people have got sugar diabetes. That is in my street. So when President talks about leaders not being tourists and strangers in their community, he talks about leaders being able to understand and know the conditions of people they are leading. And that is activism. So it is important, therefore, that whatever political education that we embark upon, it must be an education that can ensure that there is a relationship between theory and practice. What is called what? Praxis. Yeah. What you call praxis. So we must make politics accessible to the ordinary member of the ANC. Now, the other question that you spoke about here, that I can hear there are people who decry the fact that during the 6-month period, this thing of letters and so on. Look, it may sound quite something that is very tedious or challenging to say, why do you join the ANC? I made a point that there are people who are made members of the ANC, so they are not joining out of political consciousness. Now, it is high time that the ANC knows who are these people who are joining us. But it is also high time that the ANC appreciates why people are attracted to the ANC. Because one of the realities that we're faced with is that there are people who have reduced the ANC to an employment agency. Careerists are there. When you go in other provinces, comrades, if you want to appreciate what has happened to us in KZN, and here I speak with authority. I was deployed in an area region called Tolomane Mnyayeza, which has 86 branches. From the 24th of February to the 29th of February, it's about 90 days. I personally spent about 55 days there. Now, out of those 86 branches, I was able during the campaign to go to about 33 of them. And all of them, they constitute around 106 VDs. I was there. I have spoken to close to about 15,000 people. There are signs that MK would actually obliterate us in the manner it did were not there. And post-elections, I interviewed people, VDs, VD coordinators, party agents, and so on, of 11 branches, which makes about 86 people. And all of them, they say, we don't know lento le is velele kanjani. So that tells you that in our midst we have people who are not with us, but they are our members. So this is an initiative that is not intended to alienate people, to marginalize people, to create gatekeeping. It is an initiative as basic as it is that is intended for the ANC to appreciate which, the kind of people that we attract. It is important. In fact, it is not something new. During the period of exile, those who were in exile, they will tell you if you went to exile, you need to write your biography. In fact, even post the unbanning, the ANC has got a record of all leaders, the biographies of all leaders, of all those who were leaders at that time in 1990, in South Africa, in the country. So it is not something new. But again, this initiative is intended to reinforce this 6 months period. Because when a person joins the ANC, becomes a member has got obligations. You sign the oath. The oath says, I, Sibongile Besane, I solemnly declare that I will abide by the rules of the ANC, the policies of the ANC, and so on, the Freedom Charter and the Constitution. That's what we say. But when the oath goes further down, that oath, you say, I will make the ANC an effective instrument of liberation in the hands of people. I will use my skills and expertise, my loyalty, to defend the unity and integrity of the ANC. Do we have members who defend the unity and integrity of the ANC? But beyond defending the unity and integrity of the ANC, the last line says, I will combat, I declare to combat any disruption and factionalism of the ANC. In other words, there's a difference between defending and combating. A person who combats, it means we confront all these mishaps. So at the heart of rebuilding the ANC, during this Oliver Tambo lecture, the thrust, the crux of the matter is to build an ANC of activists, not just members. You see, so that is at the heart of it. And other inputs, Comrade Mcebisi has spoken about them, is that in the process of building activists, an ANC of activists, obviously, we need to be able to attract new people in our midst because they bring new energy. Because the ANC is an organization of the people. Therefore, it must never be engaged in a process that alienates others. I hope that's the long and short. I didn't respond, I was just making addition to people, to inputs that have been made. But thank you very much for the privilege. Inkosi.
Nanso ke comrades, we are still doing well for time. I want to say this. The decision to have this lecture, after it was taken and communicated, regional office khange iphumle organizing this successful event. Once we have secured the speaker, khange sibe na problems of saying no, he has missed his flight. Okanye kuthiwa akakwazanga uvuka. He was here last night, wavuka ekuseni namhlanje, conducted organizational work, wafika on time here. So we must be able to release him on time. But we appreciate very much I-discipline yakhe is exemplary for all of us in this renewing ANC. Comrade Regional Treasurer, the Regional Treasurer is going to ascend to the podium to render a vote of thanks.
Amandla, Amandla, Malibongwe. Long live the spirit of our Tambo, long live. Good afternoon, comrades. I think it's probably because I sat here in front that Comrade Sops tasked me to do the vote of thanks, because I usually sit down there. But on behalf of the Regional Executive Committee, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude for everyone who took the time to come on a Saturday afternoon to the Our Tambo, or to this very important Our Tambo Memorial Lecture. We are gathered here not only to remember, but also to celebrate the life, vision, and legacy of a true giant, our Tambo, or Oliver Tambo. His unwavering commitment to justice, equality, and freedom continues to inspire all of us. And it is our privilege to keep his legacy alive through gatherings such as this. Now, comrades, it's not only about his legacy and keeping it alive. We dare not fail our Tambo. We dare not fail him. So I wish to extend my deepest appreciation to our NEC member, Comrade Besani, for such an important and inspiring and moving lecture. Comrade Besani, your reflections has also shed new light on the principles of what Tambo stood for, and also the relevance of his values today, or in our lives, or in our movement today. Comrade Besani, you spoke about the 4 pillars of struggle, and mass mobilization being the first pillar of struggle, and fortunately the 4th pillar of social transformation, the pillars of social transformation. And I think the current moment where we find ourselves in, I think this is an extremely important pillar. So whilst we're sharpening our ideological tools through the Our Tambo lectures or education that we will be receiving, I think this particular pillar, comrades, is very, very critical. Our chair often talks about making the ANC attractive. And making the ANC attractive is not only in words, it's not only about saying, the chair is not saying making the ANC attractive, but what is required of us in this particular moment that the ANC find itself is to build strong mass-based branches, strong structures, comrades, because it's only through those structures, building a strong mass base, that the population, the voters, will regain trust in the ANC, and it will also make us relevant within our communities. We have become disconnected, comrades, from our people. We've become disconnected from the struggles that our people are enduring. So please, this particular pillar, comrades, you need to do yourself a favor. Today we all have phones. Just go and find these 5 pillars of struggle and look at particularly the 5th pillar of struggle. I think Comrade Besani spoke a lot about knowing your community, understanding what's happening at the community level, understanding what happens at schools. This is what we need to do, is building that activism across the Dullar Omar region. So thanks, Comrade Besani, for reminding us of a particular pillar, which I think is most crucial in where we find ourselves. So, comrades, we are very grateful for all the insight, the wisdom, and the passion that Comrade Besani has shared with us. And this, I don't want to say will, but it must resonate with us as we recommit to renew our organization. I think Comrade Besani has just explained in terms of writing motivations and all of that. Comrades, we need to know who our members are. You know, we have membership and we don't know who they are. In our branch printouts, we don't know them, we don't see them. Comrades, so as we recommit ourselves, let us keep these important values in mind. I would like to thank our organizing team led by our Nobala, Comrade Mvusi, and they have worked tirelessly to ensure a successful program and to ensure that we can gather in a spirit of unity and reflection to honor our giant, Comrade Omar Tambo, and his memory. Our volunteers, our branch leadership, thank you for offering up your time and mobilizing your branch members to come and attend this important memorial lecture. Your presence reaffirms the enduring influence of Tambo's legacy. It's through gatherings like this that we can come together to reflect, to learn, and to rededicate ourselves to the ideals of unity and freedom. As we close, let us carry forward the values of our Tambo that he held so dear and strive to embody the courage, resilience, and compassion that he demonstrated throughout his life. May his memory continue to inspire our actions, and may his legacy live on in our collective memory and efforts as we renew and rebuild our beloved organization. In 1990, Comrade Omar Tambo said, "The struggle is far from over. If anything, it has become more complex and therefore difficult." This is exactly the moment that we live in, comrades. The struggle has become so complex and so difficult. We have been infiltrated. We don't know who's who from who. But what Comrade Omar also said, they were also always ready to accept the mistakes and to correct the movement. Let us correct, comrades, through our conduct, through our actions, and let us love these values. And I want to end off by saying, Comrade Sobs, I've just taken advantage of your mic. I want to end off by saying, or to quote Comrade Omar Tambo, when he handed over, and he said, "I have devotedly watched over the organization all these years." And Comrade Besani spoke about the 4 pillars. These were Comrade Omar Tambo's vision for a South Africa that he foresee. And he watched over this, and he handed it back to us, bigger and stronger and intact. Can we today say that we have an organization that is big, that is strong and intact? It's only through committing and recommitting ourselves to these values that we would be able to hand over to the next generation. So thank you very much, comrades. Amandla.
Mandla! Mandla! The lecture has officially ended. Class dismissed. Lumzabalazo. Dala mntanam waqalwa ukhobe lumzabalazo. Dala mntanam waqalwa uzunga kalim mntanam uzunga